Hopefully you got along okay with those more complex shapes. I know they were a lot more challenging than the previous cuboids, but you can now see how my original shapes have turned into 3D objects. And for those of you who did try to challenge yourselves, we're using a diagonal, a shape with a diagonal line on it. You can. This is what I was talking about in terms of this line being parallel to this line here. Okay, so your next task is for you to take your black pen and outline each of your shapes like I've done here. Okay, I didn't think it was worthwhile you watching me outline them again because I've just gone around with my fine black pen and outlined every single line of all my shapes. Now I'm going to ask you to add that weighted line. So just to remind you, that weighted line is the thicker perimeter around the object. But for more complex objects, it is a little bit more than just that perimeter. So if I zoom in on this one here, okay, I'm going to add my thicker perimeter. So I'm actually going to use a thicker pen today rather than the biro. So I'm going to add this thicker perimeter around my object. But once I've done this, I'm going to introduce an additional rule. Well, it's not really an additional rule, it is the rule, but the easiest way to explain this weighted line technique is for you to add the weighted line around the entire perimeter of the object. And I'm going to continue doing that in here. I nearly missed a little bit. Okay, so I've gone around the entire perimeter of the object, but the additional rule I'd like to introduce is that you add a weighted line to an edge that you can't see around. So if you think about this whole perimeter, I can't see around that top edge of the shape. I can't see the top surface, therefore I've added a weighted line on that line there. I can't see around the edge, so I can't kind of see around the back of this part here. So I've added a weighted line here. I just want to draw your attention to this line. I can't actually see over the top of the whole of that line. Therefore, I would add a weighted line here as well. Okay? So that would be the weighted lines required for that reverse C shape. If I now move on to this shape here, I'm going to quickly add that weighted line around the perimeter. So remember, the perimeter just emphasizes the fact that we can't actually see around the edges of the perimeter of the shape. So now, because this is more of a complex shape than a simple cuboid, I now have to identify what other edges I can't see around. So first one here, I can see that I can't see around this top edge, therefore I would thicken to there. And likewise with this vertical line, I can't see around the top of this edge by here, therefore I would thicken up to the top there. Okay, so your next task, I'd like you to look at each of your shapes and add all the required weighted lines.